Hi, this is Simon with just a brief reminder to follow us on our Facebook page, Chronicles on the Fly. Like the page, send us a message, any questions or anything that you would like us to talk about. And maybe on the next episode we'll do just that. So there you go, Chronicles on the Fly on Facebook. Thanks. Let's get into the show. And it's episode 5 of Chronicles on the Fly, and I'm Simon.
And I'm Mel. How you going?
Yeah, good. How's the week been in isolation?
Very isolated.
What else would it be?
Very, very monotonous, to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
Very monotonous.
You're still going into the office, aren't you?
Yes, but with social distancing, very few clients come in now. So,
yeah.
But a lot of it's done over the phone, and 90% of the questions are all the same: is how do I apply for JobKeeper, or how do I get JobSeeker, and can I apply for Centrelink, and how do I get my superannuation?
You should just put together a flyer with all your frequently asked questions, send them out to all your clients, and then bang, problem solved. They don't have to call you anymore.
Yeah, but they don't check. A lot of them are older people, so they don't really use computers.
Yeah, fair enough.
Majority of them are. So they're the ones that are really worried. But then you get obviously off the record, you get a few people, trying to say, maybe I can claim this and claim that. So, come on, isn't the time about claiming this and claiming that?
Yeah,
about survival.
Interesting, the all this government stimulus stuff that have been handed over. What do you reckon about that? I've seen a lot of, well, not a lot, but some commentators in the media, or even just in the Twitter sphere, let's say, bagging. Well, not bagging.
I'm going to reserve my right to judgment. Yeah,
criticizing the handouts and the welfare and
Yeah, well, he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't.
Yeah,
right now, the one position I wouldn't like to be in is in the Prime Minister's position, because either way, whatever he does is wrong, and whatever he does is right. He's in one of those situations where he can't win. To comment on the stimulus at the moment without seeing the full packages for me is probably a bit hard to say, because, like I said, it's all one thing to announce it, but once it goes through legislation, could be completely different, assuming that everything gets passed. But again, we can't make that decision till we see the actual facts.
Yeah.
There's a lot of unanswered questions at the moment. Until we get down to nitty gritty, I think it's a bit hard to say.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of small businesses are panicking, let's say. Can't find clients, no one's spending any money, but then it's very industry by industry and business by business, the reactions and also their conditions. Like I think I mentioned 1 or 2 podcasts back, I've got a cabinet maker client who's still going as normal, like nothing's really changed. And I mentioned how I was doing Facebook ads. I was doing Facebook ad campaigns for this client, and it was struggling. Like it wasn't getting many leads in. You should see now. And that, I think it started the first week of that ad campaign was when everything was like teetering on the brink. Like, are we going to be working remotely? Are we going to be, in shutdown? No one really knew what was going on. So everything was just in limbo at that point. And not that we're still in limbo in a way, but people, workers had yet to actually, let's say, remove themselves from offices and be locked indoors in homes. And since that's happened, like a week after that, everyone working from home or just staying home, so much time on their hands, Bunnings started going mental, right? Yep. So Bunnings, shutting out the public for the first couple of hours of the day and only allowing like trades and essential services to go in. Because they're just in such high demand at the moment. People are thinking, what can I do around the house in terms of DIY stuff, right? So that's actually just flicked the switch for my clients. They're getting leads like there's no tomorrow. So now the campaign's been going about 3 weeks, this advertising campaign. But you could pretty much say in about 2 weeks, he's received close to 50 leads for kitchen renovations. That's amazing,
That's pretty impressive, yeah.
But in general, that industry, so that the cabinetry industry, are panicking because Some clients, I've been speaking to other people in the industry. What's happening is some attitudes are different in different pockets of Perth. I've been told. So some people where they had already signed up with other businesses to get a kitchen made or some cabinetry made, they put it on pause because they're concerned about tradies and other people coming into their homes. Whereas my client hasn't reported that to me. He hasn't, he's gone out quoting and that type of thing. He's taken all the right precautions and covering himself and mask and all that type of thing, and gloves and the like. But he hasn't reported any reluctance for people to have him around to measure up and things like that. So he's doing a lot of quoting. Like I said, close to 50 leads for kitchen renovation jobs. Amazing result. So that's something that I didn't expect, but it's not quite translating to the rest of that industry. Like I said, a lot of them are panicking. Yeah, but they're also not putting themselves out there like my client is. So he's putting himself in front of the demand. Okay, he's making himself be seen. A lot of other businesses in the industry are just going into their shell, and this is something I've been saying on my social media. Now is the time to shine, right? Get yourself out there, because those around you, your competitors, are not going to. Let them go into their shell. You stand out. We're not in full lockdown. Construction industry is still going.
It's still going,
right? So be one of the few that grabs it by the bull by its horns and go for it. And the ones that are, from my experience, the ones that are doing it are doing well. As long as we don't go into a full blown government quarantine type of thing like they've done in Europe. And parts of America. Well, take the necessary health precautions, but keep your business going.
You got to keep business going because your economic impact's going to be incredibly huge.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's very interesting times. And another thing I've noticed is that actually just this morning, coming into the office to do the podcast, it takes me. It's like a 3 or 4 minute drive from home to here. And the amount of people out walking is far more than previous to all this virus stuff. And I suppose I put it down to the fact that, during the working week, everyone's, caged in and locked in and they're not getting out of the home. And come Saturday morning and probably Sunday, everyone just wants to get out and get some fresh air. I saw so many groups of people, walking, getting exercise, riding bikes. There was some, family of 4 type of thing. I know it's only supposed to be two at a time, isn't it?
Two at a time. But I think they live in the family.
Okay, yeah. Right. Well, you're going to be with your family, whether you're in the house or walk along the footpath. So I suppose it doesn't make much difference. People, there was a personal trainer with one client, which is, the regulation at the moment, at a park, doing a boxing training. And mate, it was, I must have seen, I think, about 9 groups I counted of 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. Yeah. Everyone's just cooped up and just dying to get out of the house.
Yeah, I think it's everyone's just struggling. I think at the moment with just staying at home and being enclosed.
Yeah,
a bit of normality.
I watched the movie Contagion last night.
Yeah,
because that's been there's been a few things in the media about it.
Netflix,
I think it was made in 2009, if I remember right. No, it wasn't. I don't think it was on Netflix. But anyway, I watched it. Very interesting. Very interesting. It's like a script of what's happening now. So basically a disease starts from a bat and gets through a restaurant, goes to, a bat contaminates a pig, and then, that pig is taken to a restaurant, and that, I think it's the meat, contaminates one person, and then it contaminates the waiter, and it just carries on like that. And just all the panic and all that type of thing is, they tell people you've got to socially isolate. They use all the same terminology that we're hearing. It's amazing. It's got
a pretty good cast.
Yeah, Gwyneth Gwyneth Crazy Paltrow, Kate Winslet, Matt Damon, Jude Law, Lawrence Fishburne.
That's not bad.
Yeah, there's some names in that. I'd never seen it before.
Never really heard about it before,
but it's just a blueprint for what's happening now. Honestly, it's just almost like a carbon copy. Apart from there was a couple of scenes where people are rioting and looting businesses, and we haven't seen anything like that. It's not that crazy, but
I don't think because everyone's paranoid about rioting and looting because they're too close to each other. They'll be all locked up at home. That's probably one of the positives.
Mm. Yes, very interesting film, and apparently it's been doing pretty well in terms of like online rentals and that type of thing in the past couple of weeks.
Did the disease come from Wuhan, China?
Hong Kong, I think it was.
Oh, Hong Kong.
Yeah, I think they said Hong Kong. Very interesting. But the virus that they use, the coronavirus that they use, is some sort of virus that kills you like within hours, type of thing. It's not like the one that we've got going on at the moment.
Okay.
So, yeah. And also, you know how I was talking about the conspiracy podcast that I was listening to?
Yeah.
So in the past week, these guys did another episode. Well, I'll name it. It's called, what's it called?
The General Knowledge.
General Knowledge Podcast. Yeah, so that basically their idea is, their opinion is that it's a hoax. That's it. The whole thing's a hoax.
Well, I wouldn't call it a hoax because
you wouldn't. You're not the nut job. But they just, that's it. This coronavirus, it's a hoax. It's a corona hoax. # corona hoax.
That's a new one. That's a good.
And like I said, not a shred of evidence to back that up. It's just their opinion. It's a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax. Right? All these cases that we've seen, it's all bullshit. These people are not really dying of a pandemic virus. No. They're faking. They're faking the numbers. They're faking the news. Can you fucking believe this?
Wow, that's pretty.
Oh man, it's out there. Yes. Oh, actually, going back to Contagion, the movie. One thing that they obviously, spoiler alert, they find a vaccine in the end. Okay. And what they do is, and this is one thing where these conspiracy theorists are probably on the ball with this type of thing, because they're going on about the martial law and the authoritarian one world order. What is it? New World Order.
New World Order
stuff and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, so in the movie they find a vaccine, but everyone who receives the vaccine has to wear on their wrist a digital certificate. Okay, so to track that they've their movement and everything, right? So they can't move anywhere in the city or whatever without wearing that digital band certificate around their wrist, and then there's checkpoints, and they have to get that scans to go through checkpoints and that type of thing. So that is something that I did a bit of Googling, and Mr. Bill Gates, apparently.
Yes, I read that. He wants to.
Mr. Bill Gates is pushing for a digital ID for people who get the vaccine when a vaccine comes about. All right, straight out of fucking movie. So
I'd be curious why he would want that, but anyway, and what's it to him?
And there is actually an organisation pushing for this called ID 2020. Well, what do you know, 2020? So let's not say that these conspiracy theorist guys are all that whack job. They're on the money with some things, I think.
I don't agree with you. Yeah, that's no. Wrong, completely wrong.
I mean, you can just see that, this digital ID or digital certificate, whatever, these conspiracy guys are talking about that it's going to be implanted in your hand, okay, rather than in the movie, like I said, it's just a wristband. Who knows? I don't know. I think Bill Gates he's actually said it. He's a number of times done interviews, done online, Q&A things, and he's talking about getting like a chip implanted in the hand, like under the skin or something like that. That's just that's weird.
Yeah, no,
that's
like
I I would definitely not want that crap if they were trying to bring that stuff in. Yeah. Oh, so much.
And how was the comments from the former British Prime Minister, was it Gordon Brown?
Yeah, I sent you that link as well, didn't I?
I thought, wow, what's up?
He's
a pretty average Prime Minister as it was for England, for the United Kingdom.
So he has, in the last week or so, he has called for a unified one government for the whole world.
Yes.
Right, Gordon. We were laughing about this last week or the week before. Yeah. And then you go and do a Google search and you find these articles in mainstream media. Yeah, so-and-so wants a government for the whole world.
Oh, come on, seriously. For a global government.
I don't know how you would handle this, but it's out there. This stuff is
and let me guess, would Saudi Arabia be in charge of human rights and women's rights?
No, it would all be centrally. You know, the laws would be made all centrally. I don't know where, the UN or the WHO or
Belgium.
Combination.
Because everything else is in Belgium.
What else did I find in my my little conspiracy research? Oh, yes. Here we go. In October last year, October 2009, there was an event held by the John Hopkins Center for Health Security. I'm not sure which city or country this took place in. It was called Event 201, okay? And it was sponsored by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And what it was a simulation of a worldwide pandemic. So this was October, and then this pandemic starts a few months later in December in China. Okay, did they know something that we didn't? I don't know.
Yes, no.
Just the timing. The timing seems weird. That's all.
Did you also see the announcement that our state government announced with Mr. Forrest about the donations from China or the purchases from China of medical equipment?
I didn't. I don't know any specifics, but I did see something about a lot of equipment being dodgy. What was that about?
Yeah, well, anyway, a lot of this equipment come from China, and they were thanking the Chinese government for helping and supplying and allowing all this. I'm like, so the people that caused it, again, thanks for helping fix the problem.
My wife said it best to me the other day. She goes, "The arsonist is holding the fire hose."
Yes.
Exactly right.
That's a good analogy.
Exactly.
Yeah, the arsonist is the fireman. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's, smiling while they stab everyone in the back.
Look at this. Look what I've done. I put the fires out, but I created it. Yeah. That's actually ironic because majority of fires are done by arsonists. So. As we saw in the bushfires, which, speaking of bushfires, you don't hear much talk about bushfires anymore, do you? All that bushfire relief and all that money that got raised, what's happened now? It's just fallen off the perch. Not a word's been said about it.
That or climate change or...
we're not hearing much from Greta.
I was going to say, we don't hear about Miss Greta anymore. Apparently she was trying to get herself in the news by claiming that she had COVID-19. Who knows? Yeah. Who knows what the truth is?
Truth is somewhere in the middle there.
All right. Anyway, we did say before this, let's not spend too much time on this virus stuff. I'm not going to get all conspiratorial, but there are just some iffy questions. The last thing on that, there's also a bunch of YouTube videos that I came across yesterday. People claiming that that it's all a hoax type of thing. They reckon that this is in the US, seeing reports on the TV news that there's people lined up, long lines outside hospitals waiting to get tested to see if they've got the virus, right? And then these people reckon they're going down to the hospitals directly after seeing the reports, and there's no one there. It's all quiet. Where is this pandemic type of thing? It's all a hoax. There's no one there. Well, I don't know about the lines, whatever, but it's all inside the hospitals, right? It's not going to be. They're not going to be treating people in the car park.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, but I saw a video the other day of supposedly New York hospital there, of just bodies lying around in body bags, and I'm like, so how come there's no one around? This guy's able to take all this video with all these bodies. with no one else there. I found that a little bit.
There were just bodies lying there.
And body bags, body bags everywhere.
And no security
on the floor. And there's surely there'd be doctors, nurses, there'll be people around. But anyway, so I don't think there's bodies everywhere. It sounded a bit weird.
If there were dead bodies in body bags, there would be security, health officials, all kinds of stuff going on.
You'd normally think that. So,
where'd you see this video?
Oh, something going around on, not YouTube, on Messenger or whatever it was.
I don't know. Half the shit you see, you got to really question whether it's legit.
True. Or NBC, you see NBC in America saying the hospitals in New York are in crisis, and the video they were showing was actually a hospital in Bergamo from 3 days before.
Yes, I did see that. So they reused footage from Italy to claim that it was it New York?
Yeah. New York, and Donald Trump wasn't doing anything about it.
Yeah. Look, that's the American media for you. They're just
trash.
I wouldn't say that nothing's going on in whatever hospital they were claiming it was, but they probably didn't have any footage of it, so they just grabbed whatever they could find, and whatever, hospital's a hospital, so that'll do.
Yeah, but come on, you got to be a little.
It's shit journalism. It's shit reporting. It's a joke, but
yeah. Actually, speaking of reporting, sorry, one thing I want to talk about. What do you think of they're all banging on now about the Ruby Princess and how it was actually the New South Wales Health Department that let him off the boat?
Yeah. Well, I told you, didn't I? It was the health minister. Yeah. Right. It's his call. And now I saw something. I didn't read the article, but I saw a headline, something about there was an email trail going around. So they before they disembarked them, they knew that there was a health issue on board.
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah, so how do heads not roll? How do heads not roll?
And Dutton's, as much as I'm not really a fan of Dutton, you know that. Well, the Border Force actually told him, do not, just be aware there's a lot of people with COVID-19 on there. Actually telling them, there's an actual email saying to them, be careful. They let them off the ship. And what do? They let them off the ship.
And New South Wales has the most cases in all of Australia.
Yeah. No wonder why. And now we've got the issue with, everyone's like, a lot of people I've been speaking to have been saying, get rid of the ship, just send them back to port, get them out where they come from.
Yeah, right.
Now,
let them die at sea.
So I said, yeah. So number one, you got an international obligation to look after people whose health is at risk. Number two, well, there is 130 or 140 Australians stuck on a ship outside the United States at the moment. What do you want to do with them?
Exactly.
What, do you want to send them back to port? So the media's been a bit hush about that.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. So is that that ship?
Yeah.
Where is it?
There's a ship. It's outside Florida, the United States.
But is there a health?
I still reckon is
there a health issue with that one?
Yeah. People with COVID-19 on it.
Okay.
So they're saying, well, okay, there's one, and there's plenty more ships with Australian passengers around the world.
Yeah.
At the moment, so interesting times, my friend. Interesting,
that's for sure. All right, jump off that.
Yeah, jump off that. I had to actually say.
All right, unless you got something else on it.
Something else on but it doesn't matter. If it'll come back to me, I'll probably talk about it next week. I'm sure we'll still be in this lockdown and doing Zoom. So, well,
we're not technically in a lockdown, are we?
Well, isolation, I should say.
Self-isolation.
Self-isolation. And speaking of, it's very quiet out there. Very quiet.
One thing I've noticed is on Facebook and YouTube, a lot of singers and artists are doing like little mini concerts to their webcam, pretty much for their audience or for their fans. I like that. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I saw one. I saw Paul Stanley.
Didn't Elton John do one?
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Elton John did one.
Yeah. I saw a few clips from Paul Stanley from Kiss, just in his music room and in his house, singing a few songs and also talking about albums and things like that. So that was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And, but shopping centres. Go to a shopping centre. Have you been to one lately?
I've probably been going a couple of times a week since this whole situation
an eerie
started.
Feeling walking into a shopping centre now. Everything closed. People looking at you funny. I went to Aldi the other day and was like,
let's be honest,
I was lining up. Yeah,
people look at you funny at the best of times, Mel.
Look at that stallion. That's what I'm probably thinking.
Yeah. Anyway, wearing masks.
But just just wearing masks, and they're looking at you like, when you walk past them, you're trying to social distance, but you got to walk around. And sometimes, God forbid, you're within a meter, not 1.5 meters, and they're just looking at you weird. I was like, oh, geez, sorry.
It's very noticeable. There's like this tension in the air in a way.
Yeah.
This people are just apprehensive about walking past each other, and like I've said it before, like it's sort of like this extreme courtesy, but it's not really. It's just everyone's scared. Everyone's scared of their own shadow at the moment.
Yeah, and I don't think the shops are booming like they were. I think the hoarding and the purchasing of excess stuff has slowed down a fair bit.
Well, I've noticed that toilet paper I still haven't noticed on shelves. It's noticeable that these shelves are still empty.
But toilet paper, but the shop near my house had it in stock.
Did they? Okay.
So it's coming like going back had to get there first thing in the morning to get in.
I think people are slowly realising that there's still going to be stock of these things. We don't need to be lose our minds.
Hopefully,
you'd hope.
You'd hope, but then again, some people are very narrow-minded, very simple. Oh, that's what I wanted to bring up. Your thoughts on the Premier and the Police Minister closing the border of Western Australia, actually officially closing the border of Western Australia?
Look, I don't know.
Because I think my opinion is very...
If each state is just going to eradicate this thing once and for all, isn't that, isn't it necessary?
Oh, look, yes. Well, I look at it this way.
What's the big deal? Who's going to be travelling in and out anyway? Because you can still travel. You can still travel in and out when you've got official business to do and that type of thing. You just get an exemption.
I just don't like. I don't think it's the Premier's decision personally. For me, as a resident of Western Australia, to say no, you can't come back home. First, second is last time I checked, I don't need a passport to go interstate. So what right has he got to close the border?
Yeah.
Thirdly, I think from what someone was saying, it's actually unconstitutional for him to close the border.
Okay.
So. It's like,
well, we've said it before. This is a perfect opportunity for governments to seize extra powers, and the only question is, all right, these are extraordinary circumstances. The only question I have about this stuff is, what is going to happen when we're just in general? It's not. Let's call it wartime, or virus time. When everything's supposedly back to normal. All right. Mm. Are they still going to be able to, enforce these restrictions, whether it be closing borders, creating no travel between regions within states and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, this is, to me,
are they still going to be allowed to, able to state that, only two people can be out in public together at a time and stuff like this?
See, I have a property.
And also, what are the circumstances that they're going to be able to implement these type of things? Is it only going to be when there's a pandemic going on around the world, or is it just going to be? I don't know. Is this just a major power grab opportunity, and
absolutely
that power never gets put back in the can?
Well, absolutely. I've got a property that I have to pass 2 border checkings to get to. Now, they might say you've got no need to go there, but I've got to check on the property.
Yeah.
To make sure it's all right, God forbid, it's my property. Yeah. What about if something's broken there, or, or about if someone's broken in? And
look, these conspiracy nut jobs talk about, we're becoming the Hunger Games or whatever, and, that sort of thing. And you got to wonder, mate, you got to wonder, what are we going to be like in 100 years' time?
No.
Or less.
I find that very frustrating that I've been told, no, you can't do this and you can't do that, and I can't travel within my own state.
And
if that's the case, how about I don't pay my taxes? Is that all right? Yeah. I don't pay my car rego, because at the end of the day I can't travel, so why am I paying for it?
Good luck trying that.
But thank you. That's my point.
One phrase that you keep hearing in the media all the time is the new normal. The new normal. That just condition people, right? No, let's not accept that this is the new normal. Let's accept only that this is extraordinary times, that these measures are only temporary, and we're going back to the old normal. Not, the new normal. It's just such social conditioning, mate. I just can't hearing it.
Yes.
No, but no one should ever want this to be the new normal or any kind of normal.
So they've passed I heard the state government passed laws that Obviously, if someone threatens someone with COVID-19, they go to jail. If they, what was the other one?
People have been coughing on cops and stuff.
I don't have a problem with that one. Yeah. And then if you've been caught, they're going to put a tracker on you. I was like, you'd live in your isolation. I was like, whoa, well, the communist China, the gulags, Russia, North Korea. That's what they do there.
If this virus was the virus,
and they put that in for a year, and then they're deciding if they're going to repeal it. They're going to decide if they're going to repeal it.
There you go.
Oh, so that means they're not going to repeal it.
This stuff never gets repealed, man. Now, that would be maybe a legitimate thing to do if this virus was the one depicted in Contagion, because basically you get it and you're dead. You get it and you're dead within hours. But it's a flu, okay? And it's killing the elderly more so than anyone else. Mm-hmm. And people with pre-existing
conditions.
It's not as deadly as a virus can be. Let's put it that way. But I don't know. A lot of people that I've spoken to, are saying, this is such a ridiculous situation. It's such an overreaction. All these restrictions that have been imposed on the public and everything. And the answer to that is yes and no. I think it's not black and white.
I don't like the one with the putting the tracking device. What about if you want to go, someone you know is dying, you need to go see him. Your parents are dying, or
yeah, of course.
You want to go say, you've been arrested. I'm sorry, you got to wear a tracker now. So hang on a minute. So everyone goes, but they shouldn't have left the house. I said, well, how do you know his circumstances aren't? You don't know all the circumstances. So unfortunately, but people are quick to judge. You know what I mean? There's a million extraordinary circumstances.
It's like the digital certificate thing, if you get, so you can distinguish between people who've been vaccinated and not. And this is what Mr. Gates is pushing for.
Yes, Mr. Gates.
And also interesting that he's
stepped in.
I don't mind Bill Gates. I've never been that skeptical about him. I think I always thought that he's a good entrepreneur and all that. But anyway, it's also interesting that he stepped down from the board of Microsoft like a week ago, just as this pandemic is hitting, and he said that the reason why is because he wants to concentrate more on global health issues and fighting climate change and all these causes that he's involved with his foundation. It's just I don't know.
But there's been a few people that have said,
I was just going to say, it throws up a lot of questions that I don't have answers to, but questions are there. It's very strange, and I'm just a skeptical person, and maybe like I said last week, maybe I'm sounding more like those conspiracy guys. Maybe they've gotten to me. I don't know.
Well, unfortunately, like you were saying, it's
there's a client.
There's a client, and it's unfortunately, it's not so much the. It's what I'm trying to say is that's how we've expecting things now. It's just how it's become. It's weird. It's very weird. But anyway,
you mean all these restrictions and authoritarian thing? It's the old frog in what's the analogy? The frog in the boiling water. You just they just slowly turn up the heat, and you don't you gradually just get used to it, so it doesn't scorch you all at once.
Absolutely.
That's the way they take. That's why they take extra power into their hands. I don't know, and there's probably not a lot of thought of it. The authorities and governments. There's probably not that much thought and organisation gone into it. Really, it's probably just a kind of organic or natural occurrence over time. It just happens,
Yeah.
As people in societies trust each other less, and it's just a natural consequence of it. I don't know.
Anyway, well, it's over COVID-19. Honestly, really am starting to take.
Did you during the week? There was the Ben Cousins documentary. Did you watch it?
I didn't, because I didn't believe it was worth watching.
Well, correct on that.
Because I don't think that I thought it was just a power grab of a person who's going through a tough time in his life, and they were just trying to monetize his suffering. So I thought, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to watch it. I don't think that Paul deserved to. They know he's in a vulnerable state, so they just took advantage of him. So,
well, apparently, they said his family, but I don't know who they're meaning when they say that, approached Channel 7 to do it rather than the other way around. So I don't know. I think Basil Zemplis was maybe good intentions, but very misguided when it came to, you know, doing all those interviews and just putting the whole thing together. I think the producers of it absolutely exploited and manipulated him like there's no tomorrow.
I was listening to the former police commissioner. He was talking about it this morning on the radio on the way here. To the podcast.
What did he say?
And even he was saying, he goes the Channel 7, he goes, shouldn't have run with it after seeing it and just taking pure advantage of a vulnerable situation. And so deep down in my head, I was going, yeah, I was right for not watching it.
Yeah.
Not wasting my time.
It was very irresponsible of him, but at the end of the day, right, you know, that's a topic that gets clicks and hits and you know, people are interested, you know, because, you know, Ben Cousins is was such a big figure in Perth, you know, in his footy days, and rightly so. He was, you know, he's one of the best footballers you've ever seen, probably. Yeah, sad circumstances, but and I know even, you know, the producers, I reckon, just took the piss out of him completely. You know, there was a scene where the producer is sitting next to him on the park bench in a park somewhere, and just really blowing smoke up his backside. You know, getting him to spill his guts and just say silly things and stupid things.
Actually, was that the scene where because I heard, was he talking about his children then?
Oh, I think it was. Yeah.
And he was getting all agitated, and he was saying he called some people to mediate. You know, to give up his brown load just to see his kids. And
I think so, yeah.
They were just probing him. This guy's obviously wants to see his children.
Exactly. They just manipulated him to keep him talking, you know, keep him saying all these things. Because at the end of the day, his brain's fried, okay? His brain's fried, and who knows if he can ever come back from that. Probably not. Probably once, you know, you've been doing all these drugs for so many years, I would imagine you get past a certain point and you're never going to become fully coherent again.
Yeah.
And it was sickening to see.
So I'm actually glad I didn't watch it, to be honest. After especially listening this morning on the radio, what they were saying. I'm so glad.
There's no need to. I watched it on the replay channel thing. I didn't watch it when it was actually aired. But it was just a pointless exercise. Pointless, completely.
Pointless, yeah. Sam, it's a sad situation, and they just try to take advantage of a sad situation, which I think is, again, journalism gutter journalism gone wrong.
I saw just while we're semi on the topic of AFL, there, let's get into some AFL. I saw on Footy Classified. Is it Footy Classified that Matthew Lloyd and Caroline Wilson?
Caroline Wilson, yeah.
And Craig Hutchison. So Matthew Lloyd suggested that what they should do for the remainder of this season is, if they're able to play any, you know, play whatever you can towards the back end of this season, and then attach this season onto next season. So it's a 2020, 2021 big season, right? Where everyone plays 34 games. Everyone plays everyone home and away, like we've been saying for God knows how long. God knows how long. So everyone plays everyone home and away, and then, you know, you have a final series after that, I suppose. And I thought that's a brilliant idea. Finally, maybe, you know, if they were to take that advice, they would finally get a home and away season, a proper one. And immediately they just rubbished him. Like, what are you talking about? That's crazy.
I think they rubbished him because what he had to dig at the club, saying that if whoever wins, say, the 2020 premiership's going to have an asterisk forever. Of course. Right? And then,
so to eliminate that you know, that asterisk, combine whatever remains of this season with a full next season, and you have like a 2-year or one and a half year mega season. I like that idea.
If they can have at least 17 games, well then, okay, everyone plays each other once. I get it, so it's fine.
It's not happening.
Yeah, but again, we don't know. You know, they're saying end of May or something. They might have a look at trying to restart the season.
We'll see. Anyway.
We'll see.
Anyway,
the other issue you're going to have is the grand final, because if it gets delayed
with
cricket,
the Big Bash League, yeah.
I mean, the cricket's not going to turn around and say, no worries, AFL, just come and take the MCG.
Well, they have to move it to Perth, maybe. Off the stadium.
That ain't going to happen because they got a contract with the Victorian government. It's got to be at the MCG.
Oh, okay, yes, but there was also, I heard some talk about some flexibility over that for this year. Surely there's got to be the discussion.
You're talking about Daniel Andrews, so I don't really rate him as a premier either. So any bloke who gives away $1 billion, but then again, that's right, he gave away $1 billion. So
$1 billion to not build a road.
Yeah, $1 billion. There you go, company. I'll give you $1 billion not to do your job.
There you go.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, that's Victoria.
Best deal in history, that one there.
Special case, that one. The other thing,
unique.
The other thing in footy media that I saw this week was Eddie Maguire tangling with Chomper Tony Jones. Did you see that? It was
both Collingwood supporters, mind you.
Yeah. So Maguire just ripped into him into Jones when Jones questioned him. I think it was on the 6 o'clock news.
It was the news, yeah. It was the news, yeah.
The question was about whether Collingwood members or I suppose AFL members in general should get their membership money returned to them for this season if there are no games type of thing. And Eddie Maguire just bit back, if there's no fans paying memberships, then there's no clubs. And I could see that argument. In a way.
I think he went a bit too hard, but he's right.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind, you pay a membership of a club. Just because you get tickets to the game doesn't mean you're buying the tickets to the game. You're buying the membership.
Straight up.
Tickets are a bonus of being a member.
Straight up, it's cost me $1,200 this season, right? That's the cost of my Eagles membership, right, with 11 home games. I might not get any of that back, and I might not get to go into any games. That's a shame, and that money would be handy in my pocket, definitely. But I'm not going to go beating down the Eagles' door to get it back. If they kind of compensate, if there's no events, no games that you can actually go to for the rest of the season, let's say. Well, hopefully there'll be some sort of, I don't know, reward, compensation, I don't know, merchandise deal, I don't know, something. It would be nice if the AFL and the Eagles and all clubs, put together some sort of package for its members. But then, all right, that's $1,200. What about corporates, mate, who spends, who knows, 20
that's
grand plus or
that's the
whatever.
Big issue is the corporates.
That's massive money.
That's the issue.
That is massive money, and that's probably where they'll lose.
Well,
if they have to give money back, that's where clubs would lose the major.
Well, you're talking some of those corporate tickets are $500 a game.
Yeah,
that's big buck. Yeah.
So yeah, look, $1,200 hole in my pocket. At the end of the day, look, I can't speak for other fans because I'm sure there's other fans that. All right, at the time they paid their membership, they paid it because they could afford it. But at the moment, there's probably plenty that now they can't afford that, and they need that. Whether it's there's membership, for a season. That
did you see
a lot less than 1,200? But even if it's 300 or 400, that would be much better used or much more needed in their pockets. So I feel for those people definitely.
Do you see they were saying there was a report in the AFL saying that out of the whole competition, there'll only be 4 clubs that might be able to ride this out without going to AFL for assistance. And that's West Coast, Collingwood, Hawthorn, and Richmond.
Yep. Hawthorn as well. They're pretty well off, aren't they?
Yeah. Okay. Hawthorn's pretty. I think they got that big injection from Tasmania. So.
Sponsored by the Tassie government.
Yeah. Right. So you look right now, it's like, wow. Doesn't let the AFL's got a big problem. I mean, what are they going to do in North Melbourne, Gold Coast, and kill the Western Bulldogs? They got no money.
Going to survive?
How are they going to survive? How on
Wasn't
earth
it? Hawthorn is sponsored by the Tasmanian government, but why? There's all this talk about North Melbourne going to moving to Tasmania.
Yeah, but one was to Hobart and one was to Launceston. and two ends of the spectrum in Tasmania.
There's no point two clubs going to Tasmania.
No.
I can't see that working.
Ideally, you'd want Gold Coast and North Melbourne to merge to form the Northern Kangaroos. Personally.
And stay in Gold Coast.
Yeah, Gold Coast Kangaroos or Northern Coast Kangaroos. That's what I believe. And the Western Bulldogs can relocate to GWS, merge with them. They have the Golden
move to
Greater Western City Bulldogs. That'd be too good.
Are the Bulldogs struggling quite a bit?
They've got financial problems too. Yeah. St Kilda, they can just fall off the perch because no one cares about it.
The issue with, we saw it however many years back when Hawthorn and Melbourne almost merged. What are you doing?
The Melbourne Hawks.
Pouring a drink? I hope that's a drink.
Yeah, it was a drink.
That came close to a merger there, but the reluctance was all because of basically pride in the clubs and tradition, right?
Yep.
So
the same thing happened to North Melbourne. That was about 15 years ago. There was talk about before going Gold Coast establishing to relocate because the Northern Kangaroos. Mm. Hence why they changed. You remember there was a period where they went from North Melbourne to the Kangaroos Football Club. Now they've gone back to North Melbourne.
So that was to try and prep for
a move.
Yeah.
No, a relocation to Gold Coast. Yeah. And then Brayshaw came along and...
Well, there's a Fox Footy documentary about that, and I've actually got it recorded on the Foxtel box. I still haven't watched it, called Keeping North South. So it's all about the movement to keep North Melbourne from that move, because within the club they didn't want to go. So it was all about fighting that.
Well, no one would want to go. And look, I'm in the waffle. I'm a West Perth supporter, and I'd love to see my team keep their name, but I think it's inevitable that sooner or later something's going to have to change. Yeah. They're going to have to either be called the Northern Falcons or Junior Falcons.
They've been fighting. West Perth's been fighting that for years, haven't they?
Yeah, well, they've got an issue with a lot of the local businesses won't throw money at them because of this. They're called West Perth. And you got young kids that go to they go, someone was saying, I was just to the radio, talk about radio, and it didn't really click to me because, it was like he must have been of British descent because the way he was speaking. And he goes, I take my son to the football. And he goes, Dad, which team shall I support? Because I'm not from West Perth or I'm not from wherever, East Perth or whatever. And they lived in the Joondalup region.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a pretty good call.
Shortly after they moved there, didn't they, for a while?
Yeah, it was supposed to be. They moved in.
They changed their name for a little bit, didn't they?
No, they were supposed to. There was the big hoo-ha that they were going to be called the Joondalup Falcons.
I think
that was the initial.
Eventually,
even if they don't want, they might have to change the name. Even if they don't want to go specifically to Joondalup and encompass the whole region, they might just have to be called the Northern Falcons.
Northern Falcons,
yeah. And that encompasses the whole northern region, like as in right from Joondalup or all the way up to Two Rocks and, all those suburbs up along down there.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about there, the demographic is all about the real football, because it's
the round ball game.
It's mini England up there, or mini Britain, and everyone's into soccer. So
yes, absolutely, everyone's into the round ball game over there. As you have a look, there's a lot of round ball clubs up that way. So it's saying that but again, it's going to be interesting because how they're going to survive, these other clubs. How are these waffle teams going to survive? Besides Subiaco, Swans got no money. West Perth's got no money. East Remand was a basket case. Freo gets pump some money into Peel, so they might be all right. East Perth, again, not a great deal of money. What do you do there?
And this 2020 season, they can pretty much write it off.
It's going to be a write-off.
Yeah.
So what happens there? Everyone knows West Perth doesn't have any money at all.
Well, they almost died last year, didn't they? Pretty much.
2 years ago, yeah, that's right.
Was it 2 years ago?
I
don't know how they got saved.
Or was the year before? Yeah, sort of saved. Or last year, the year before, or 2 years ago. But what happens then? Interesting. The Waffle's it's got a bit of a, they got some issues. NRL, we won't even talk about them. I'm not really into rugby, but they got some massive issues in the NRL. The A-League, what really should do is go up to FIFA and ask them for some money because FIFA's got plenty. instead of dishing out, taking all those bribes from Qataris and all these rich people, should give it back to football, the youngest, the other leagues. Correct? Am I fair in saying that?
Totally agree.
Sepp Blatter, the biggest criminal in the history of FIFA. What are your thoughts on Sepp Blatter there, Simon?
Has he got any involvement anymore with FIFA?
I don't know.
I think he's
probably better he doesn't.
He got a ban, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did.
He got a ban for some corruption or something. I don't know. I don't think I really followed the story because, it wasn't like it was a big revelation to me.
And Platini.
Oh, that's right. Yes, Platini copped the ban too. The whole giving Qatar which one? 2022?
2022.
And also Russia 2018. They did that all in one go. It was a total scam. I was actually, when they did the awarding of that, like they did made the decision. When they announced the decision, it was 2010. I was in Melbourne, and they put up a big screen at Federation Square in Melbourne. It was like 2-3 in the morning, something like that, right? And everyone was excited because Australia, wanted which one was Australia going for? Was it
2022?
2022, okay. Mm. And they were deciding 2 World Cup events in one announcement, which was unprecedented, which was absolutely ridiculous. So we go along to, because we were over in Melbourne for the U2 tour at the time. So it was a bunch of us. So I think it was about 4 of us. So we got up and went over to Federation Square, and there was heaps of people there, like watching big screen at that time in the morning. It was pretty cool. And when the announcements were made for Russia and then Qatar, oh my God, we actually we thought there was going to be a riot, and there was going to be looting, and people were throwing things at the screen, and it was just chaos. And we just went, boys, let's get out of here, and we went back to the hotel. But it was so obvious that was such a that it was corrupt. It was so obvious. It was always going to.
Qatar does these beautiful drawings of stadiums that are air conditioned. Then after it says, no, we're not going to do air conditioned stadiums. I'm like, what does that tell you?
It just showed the naivety of the organisation of football in Australia.
Yeah. And the hypocrisy of FIFA. Yeah. Because they go around talking about FIFA fair play and all this stuff that they talk about, and yet they give it to a country that hasn't got the best human rights. Actually, the 2 countries, Russia and Qatar. What human rights?
To be honest, 2022, I think Australia was also up against United States, if I remember right. Yeah. I reckon that United States should have gotten it. If there was a legitimate decision rather than a corrupt one, I reckon it should have gone to the United States over Australia.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the United States, what a lot of people don't understand is, they could have the entire World Cup just in the state of Texas.
They've got enough stadiums for it, do they?
They've got enough stadiums in the state of Texas alone to hold the World Cup.
Well, there you go. So the infrastructure was already made.
Because you're talking that the University of Texas has got a massive stadium, 50,000 people.
Their college football is
college football is massive. It's the same size pitch.
Yeah.
Now, forget about all the state-of-the-art stadiums. That Atlanta's got that state-of-the-art stadium in where they had the Super Bowl. Las Vegas. Now, you've seen there's a new stadium being built in Las Vegas. That is absolutely incredible. Whether it's going to be the home of the new LA Rams. So you've got all these stadiums in the United States. They could have it just in the state of Texas.
Hang on.
Texas, you could have the Texas World Cup.
Did you say the LA Rams are going to play in Las Vegas?
Oh, yeah. The LA Rams have relocated now. They're going to be called the Las Vegas. No, sorry, not Rams. The Raiders. Sorry. The LA Raiders have relocated, because they do that in America, to Las Vegas. So
this is NFL we're talking about. But
yeah, NFL.
They're only a new team in LA anyway.
No, but they were originally the Oakland Raiders in California.
All right. When did they move to LA? That's only in the last few years. Yeah.
Yeah, but that. No, they've been. I'll find out. Give me 2 seconds, mate. I'll tell you. Now.
Remember Entourage? You watched the show Entourage, didn't you? There was a part of that was Ari Gold was trying to bring a NFL team to LA because LA never had an NFL team.
Okay.
So that wasn't that long ago. Less than 10 years.
Okay, so they were the Oakland Raiders. They were established in 1960. So 1960 to 1961, Oakland Raiders.
Yep.
Then from 1962 to 1994, relocated to Los Angeles, called Los Angeles Raiders. In 1995, they relocated back to Oakland, called the Oakland Raiders. 2020, relocated to Los Angeles, called the Los Angeles Raiders.
Right. So they're just between the
state. And they've actually they're in a new stadium called the Allegiant Stadium.
Okay.
Which is a brand new stadium that's just been built.
I find all that fascinating about American sports, mainly with baseball, because I like following baseball, of how the teams have moved all over the place. Like San Francisco Giants used to be the New York Giants, and the
Dodgers, the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Brooklyn Dodgers moved, and now they're the LA Dodgers.
Well, it's only the Yankees really have never moved.
The Yankees used to be called the New York Americans, I think it was.
Yeah, but the actual team itself.
Yeah. Well, they've moved within the city around different stadiums.
Well, they're originally the Brooklyn. What's it called? The Bronx Bastion. What were they called originally? Bronx. Because they're from the Bronx.
I'm pretty sure that they started out as the New York Americans. I think they were called. Wikipedia is really good for all this stuff. If you want to go on and look it all up.
Yeah, but then the Boston Red Sox have always been the Boston Red Sox, have they?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I
mean that big rivalry. I mean that's probably the biggest rivalry in American sports. Bar none. But that all started over the transfer of Babe Ruth from Boston to the Yankees. That's where that started from. That's pretty much how the rivalry built up. And started.
It's
and then after that move, the Red Sox went, I don't know, something like 80 something years, if I remember rightly, without winning a championship.
They were the Baltimore Orioles originally in 1901, 1902.
The Yankees.
Then they became Then they became the New York Highlanders. Yes. Then they became the Yankees in 1913.
Okay. So what about the Americans? Am I on the wrong track with that?
I'm not sure.
I'm sure that I read something about New York Americans. But yeah, you're right. I completely forgot that they were the Orioles. And now there's another team started up called the Orioles. Yeah. Completely forgot about that. But they're my team, the Yankees. I love the Yankees.
Yep, second that. I actually watched the game. Fantastic game back in 2011.
We were gonna talk about awesome events that we've been to around the world. That's one we can start on. You went on your honeymoon, didn't you?
Honeymoon,
and you saw an awesome Yankees comeback. When they're like 4-0 down and they won 5-4.
4-0 down and with the walk-overs. That's right.
I hate you.
I'll be honest. I was very, very, very tired of that game because that was the first day I was in New York. So I'd just come off a 24-hour flight, and to say I was exhausted is an understatement. Like I honestly had toothpicks holding my eyes up.
What year was that? Was that 2009?
2011.
11.
It was against the Toronto Blue Jays.
Okay.
Yeah, Toronto Blue Jays.
Awesome.
It would have been the 24th or something of May, if I do recall, somewhere around about that.
That is definitely something on my bucket list to go to Yankee Stadium, watch the Yankees.
Yankee Stadium.
More than once, too.
Yankee Stadium is absolutely amazing. I was in the Jack Daniels stand,
and
as part of the Jack Daniels stand, I had my own entrance or whatever, and they gave me a mug, and in the mug had seeds of the same lawn that Yankee Stadium grows, so I could bring it back and grow the lawn.
So your front lawn is Yankee Stadium lawn?
Well, no, I didn't do that because I was paranoid. Because I was paranoid about Australian Border Force stopping me. What are you doing bringing in these seeds?
Don't you know what you're supposed to do? You're supposed to put it in the soles of your shoes, Mel. Come on, like the old wogs used to do when they came back from Sicily and Calabria. Haven't you ever heard that?
Yeah.
They would undo the sole and put them in the, underneath their feet, and they get away with it.
Yes.
Bring back the tomato seeds and all that.
Yeah, I heard it. So I didn't want to take that risk. I didn't want that. So I got rid of them. So I didn't keep them. But I still got that cup or that mug somewhere. I just got to find it. It was actually a really amazing experience. It was full house, packed, crowd was going off.
What else?
It was incredible.
What else did you go to over there? Oh, and you would have seen Derek Jeter play as well.
Yeah, saw him all play. Yep.
My favourite player ever.
What else did we go? We went to a few functions, a few events there. I was trying to get tickets at the time because the finals were on in was the Miami Heat NBA final. Can't remember who they were playing. And I was actually in Miami when they were there playing.
Oh, yeah.
And I tried to get tickets, but it was ridiculous. I couldn't get tickets to that. Yeah. And if I did, they were like $3,000 each or something ridiculous.
Well, what'd you pay for the Yankees game?
Well, back then, the Aussie dollar was absolutely fantastic. Yeah. I was getting $1.03.
Oh.
For every one Aussie dollar, I was getting $1.03 Yankee.
Brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant.
Back in the days of parody.
The peak. Yeah. And I think I paid $140 Aussie, $150, somewhere about there, $150 a ticket. So it was $300.
I can handle that.
Yeah, so it was worth it. And we had our own little stand, and I didn't have to line up because we had our own beer stand, and popcorn was free because I was thinking about popcorn over there. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
All right. Some other events. Well, we've been to a few events ourselves. Went to the World Cup together in 2006.
Yes, that was an amazing experience.
And we saw 3 games together.
Yes.
First one was in Hamburg, Italy versus the Czech Republic.
What a game! What a drive to Hamburg.
Yeah. Oh, do you remember the drive?
Yeah, doing 260
kilometers. My uncle's friend. Oh my god!
260 kilometers on a German autobahn.
A 4-hour. It was a 4-hour drive, something like that.
A 4-hour drive, and took us 2.
Oh my god!
He was flying, and we're like,
and that was like in the early hours of the morning on the way back. Remember?
That was on the way back.
Yeah. I was shitting myself. I remember holding onto the handle of the door. And I reckon I almost broke it off. I was squeezing it that tight. He was flying and, winding down the window.
K's an hour.
Winding down the window to keep himself awake. Oh, my God. I was scared. And it wasn't the only time I was scared in Europe that time with people driving.
Yes. They're not the best drivers in
Europe.
Good
old Autobahn. But that was a great that was a great day.
Considering we didn't have tickets to get in.
That's right. €300 each from the scalper. I probably could have, I didn't bargain him down. Because was
it 300? No, it was cheaper than that.
No, we paid €300 each. Remember, we went because he and his brother had the tickets, and we just went along with him, right? And we went into the pub next door to the stadium because we'd kind of given up, right? We couldn't find anyone to sell us tickets.
Had a good seat in the pub.
The match was about to start, like the national anthems were about to start, and I turned to you, and I said, I'm going to go out back to the stadium because it was like the pub was like 100 meters from the stadium, right? I'm going to go back around the stadium and see if I can find a scalper and try and get some tickets. And we said like, what's the limit? How much are we going to spend? And we decided, all right, let's try for €300 each. You gave me €300 cash, and I had 300 of my own, and I took off, and I found a guy just loitering around, and I just said to him in English, "Have you got tickets?" And he spoke English. He said, "Yeah, these are really good tickets, And I was like a bit worried that he's scamming me, but I thought got to roll the dice here if I want to go and see this game. So I gave him your 300 and my 300, and it was legit, luckily. So remember, I rang you up and I said, "I've got tickets. Get out here. Let's go. I've got tickets." And we had to run halfway around the stadium, mate, and we were sweating like there's no tomorrow.
That's when I was fit, but
oh, mate, I remember we were going through the turnstiles and the national anthems were playing, and I wanted to see the national anthems. I think we got in just as the national anthems got to our seats, just as the national anthems were finished. But we got to see our first ever.
Oh, we watched Brazil as well. Ghana.
That was in Dortmund.
Yeah, it was
Brazil versus Ghana. So that was the legit ticket that we had.
Yeah,
right. That I got from here. So that I got through the lottery. Just all we knew that it was a round 2 match in Dortmund. Right, could have been anyone. If Italy had finished second in their group, it would have been Italy, but turned out to be Brazil versus Ghana. All right.
I'm actually going for Ghana, I remember at the time.
Of course. I mean, couldn't stand Brazil. But and then Australia versus Italy in Kaiserslautern. Not a lot of people in Australia can say that they were there at that one.
Yeah, no.
But we were there.
There was a few. We were there.
I remember before the game walking through the city. The city was packed with Aussies and Italians. But probably more Aussies even, I think. So I remember I had the Australian flag and the Italian flag, both of them over my shoulder, because I couldn't decide who to support. And I remember walking past one guy and he just goes to me, "Get off that fence, make a decision. I hate fence sitters." That pissed me off. That pissed me off. But that was a very tense game.
Mm. Yeah, that was a good experience, that one.
Yeah. Well, we were right amongst the Aussie crowd, weren't we? Like,
yeah, we were Aussie crowd.
In the Australian fanatics end.
Mm. Yeah. There's some crazy people next to us. There's some people who absolutely knew nothing about soccer but making comments.
Oh, yeah. So. I mean, they were just Aussies on tour. Like, they were rugby people, pretty much.
Yeah. They had no idea.
Most people, from what I could work out, they weren't huge soccer people. They were, they were just there for the piss up. Like, good on them. But
they're for half a piss up as well. So
yeah.
It was a good experience, very good experience.
Controversial in some people's eyes, the end of it, but to me, that was a penalty every day of the week.
Back to Brennan Marocchi, what was he say? Never slide in the box.
Oh, exactly. The golden rule.
Golden rule, mate.
Box, and if you do, you better come up with that ball clean. And
that's it.
Unfortunately, Lucas Neal broke that golden rule and gave Crosshaw every reason to fall over him. At the end of the day, he's running through towards goal, right?
Mm.
And that bloke Lucas Neal comes and slide tackles in front of him. Completely stuffed up any chance he had to score or pass. Right? Clipped him, and penalty. Thank you very much. Thank you, mother of rabbits. That's a penalty. And we've got to hear about it all the time. To this day, what are we? 14 years later. Whenever the subject of Italian football comes up, we've got to hear this, gross or cheat, and all this bullshit. Mate, if that was Harry Kewell, everyone would have been screaming blue murder if the penalty wasn't given. Ooh. And Harry Kewell himself has said that was a penalty.
Yep.
Harry Kewell. He's on video saying it. He said, yeah, first thing I thought was, yeah, that's a penalty. And I've been told by another member of the squad, of the Socceroos squad, told directly.
Told directly.
In conversation, standing on a football pitch. He said to me, "Yeah, we all knew that was a penalty. No one complained in the change room. We all just knew. It was a shame, but we all knew. Plain and simple, just said it.
When you look back at that was probably the best ever Australian squad.
That player,
the green and gold.
That player actually said to me, like, in the media, the spokesman, the spokespeople, whatever you want to call them, of the team. So your Harry Kewell, not Harry Kewell. Who do I remember speaking out? Tim Cahill was probably the main one, saying, "Oh, there was no penalty, whatever." But this particular player said to me, "Yeah, that was just what we had to say in front of the media, in front of the Australian media. But like amongst ourselves and in the change room, there were no complaints whatsoever. We all just knew. We were all disappointed, but we all just knew it was right."
Yeah. What a good that was probably the best Australian squad of all time.
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, the year before when they qualified against Uruguay on penalties, I mean, that was brilliant.
Well, pretty much the whole team played in Europe.
Actually, John Aloisi has recently done a podcast on the Howie games. I don't know if you follow that podcast. I haven't listened to it yet, but I've downloaded it and I've got to listen to it. So that's going to be obviously a fair bit of it's going to be all about that night and his winning penalty in 2005.
Well, if you look at that, you look at that team. Really, on that team, pretty much all of them, they all played in Europe. Not like the Australian squad.
Viduka, Kewell. Was Cahill at Everton at the time?
Yes, Cahill was at Everton.
Aloisi was with in Spain. What was the team he played? Osasuna, I think.
Yeah, Lazaridis was at West Ham.
Lazaridis was the most unlucky player in that whole squad because he didn't play a minute of the World Cup, and especially against Italy, bloody hell, he should have been thrown in.
Yeah, no, because he would have just.
Because imagine he was just a speed demon. So with his fresh legs, who knows?
Josip Skoko,
Bresciano was with Parma at the time, I think. Grella was at Empoli.
Green Grella was playing.
It was a brilliant team. Brilliant team. Schwarzer
was at Middlesbrough? No.
Might have been Middlesbrough. Might have been.
There was that other guy, the one that looked like Jesus, Josh Kennedy.
He was in Germany.
In Germany? He was in Dresden. Yeah, that's right. He was in Germany.
Was it Bremen?
Yeah.
Great team, hey. It was.
Craig Moore.
Unfortunately, that had to be Italy that knocked them out. You know, after celebrating, you know, when they qualified for the World Cup, and then it had to be, you know, let's say our first love in football, the Italian, the Azzurri, that had to be the ones to knock them out. But hey,
Tony Popovic was there. He was playing for Crystal Palace back then. Tony Popovic, Stajowski. Man, it was a pretty good team when you look back.
It was a fantastic team. Yep.
Yeah, even
should have got more out of the game against Brazil in the group. Remember, we watched that one on the big screen in Milan at the Duomo, in the big piazza. That was a good day.
That actually, yeah, we should have done. We did way better than what the actual score.
They were just. I think Australia just, if I remember rightly, that game just didn't take their opportunities. I don't know. I think they got intimidated, but just by the fact that it was an average Brazil.
It was an average Brazil.
Yep.
And then, who was the other keeper? Zelko Kalic. He played for AC Milan.
Was he a Milan player at the time?
He was a Milan player.
Yeah. Well, I saw Zelko Kalic play for Perugia in 2002 against Milan at San Siro, and Paolo Maldini scored a header over him. There was a corner, and he got on the end of it, a looping header over him. And yeah, I remember calling Johnny, our mate Johnny, who's a big Milan fan, and I think you might have been out with him. This was 2002. He was at the casino back home here in Perth, and I remember just ringing him up and just screaming the other phone, "I saw Maldini score! I saw Maldini score!" Yeah, that was brilliant.
Geez. That was well. Then hold on, I just pulled up the squad time. So it was Schwarzer, he was playing at Middlesbrough. Yeah. Neil at Blackburn Rovers. Moore, he was at Newcastle, but he just left. Newcastle United in England. Tim Cahill, Everton. Kalina at PSV. Popovic was at Crystal Palace. Emerton was at Blackburn.
Right.
Skoko was at Wigan. Duca was at Middlesbrough. Q at Liverpool. Lazaridis was at Birmingham.
Yeah.
Ante Kokovic was at Hammarby in Sweden. Greller at Parma. Chipperfield at Basel. Eloisi at Alves.
Eloisi was at Alaves.
Alaves, yeah, it says here.
Oh, okay. I thought he was at Osasuna then. Anyway. Yep.
Then he had all the bench players. He had Michael Bucamp, don't remember him. He played Mariners. Archie Thompson. Zelko Kalic, Milan.
Yep.
Kennedy at Dresden. Wiltshire at Bristol. Stajowski at Basel. Milligan at Sydney. Basel, yeah. And Bresciano at Padma. Didn't Richie play there as well? He would have been at Hull then, wouldn't he?
Richie Garcia was...
he was in that squad too, wasn't he?
No. He was in 2010 squad.
I thought he was in that as well.
No, 2010. Yeah, he was a whole player in 2010. Yep. Yes, but then... but look, Italy knocked them out, but then went on to win the World Cup. And I was lucky enough to be at the semi-final against Germany in Dortmund and the final against France in Berlin.
Yeah, thanks for rubbing that in.
Hey, you're the one who had to go home early for some reason. I would have fought tooth and nail to stay another few weeks, but you had to go.
Yeah.
That was the greatest 2 games of my life, those two, the semi and the final.
The semi would have been, as in to watch a game, would have been amazing.
Okay. The Italy versus Germany semi-final, 4th of July, 2006. I'll never forget it. So I had given up on getting tickets. I just couldn't, someone was supposed to help me. A friend of my uncle's in Germany was supposed to help me get tickets. They wouldn't come through. It just didn't work out. I ended up just going to the hotel the Hilton Hotel in Dortmund, where the Italian team and all the officials and the federation people were all staying. I walked into a room where they were giving out tickets to people who had them, had bought them, and they were just giving out the tickets before the game. And so there was supposed to be some tickets there waiting for me, and they were nowhere to be seen, and these people didn't know who the hell I was. And anyway, I just went back into the room. I thought, no, what? I'm here. I'm not giving up. And I just walked in and I said to him, look, I've come all the way from Australia to follow the Italian team. I'll do anything to go to this game. Please, do you have any tickets that I can buy? And he just goes, yeah, here you go. He just got €240. I still remember the price. Here you go. Just gave me a ticket. And I remember just bolting out of there and running towards the stadium. Like, couldn't believe that I actually got a ticket.
€240, eh? And we paid 300 to watch them against the Czech Republic.
Yeah. Well, that was from a scalper. This one was a legitimate ticket. So yeah, €240, and I was in the Italian corner, let's say, of the stadium. And I've got to say that was the most tense game of football that I've ever experienced in my life. My God. Mm. Whenever the Italian section of the crowd, us where we were, would try to sing or chant or cheer or whatever, the whole stadium, when we're talking about 66,000 people of German fans all wearing white, would just whistle and drown out whatever noise we could make. And the stadium shook. It was that loud. It was just very, very intimidating. But the game was amazing. It was, no goals up to 90 minutes, but it was chance after chance. It was end to end stuff. And then especially the extra time started. The extra time started with Italy hitting the post twice in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh my!
Paolo!
I couldn't believe it. I was just like, this is, this can't happen. Playing so well, dominated so much of the game as well in their backyard where they've never lost a game before, Germany. We can't get this close and then not win it. And then, the last 2 minutes of the game, Grosso scores an amazing goal, and then Del Piero just, finished it off with the last kick of the game. And like in the Italian section, we were still celebrating the first goal in the 119th minute when Italy broke out of the penalty box again and counterattacked. We turned around and saw Del Piero smash in the second goal to the top corner. It was like we were still celebrating the first goal. It was absolutely delirium. Absolute. And I remember falling over. I was there by myself, obviously. Falling over people, hugging. Everyone was hugging, kissing, just jumping on each other. It was just, mate, I've never experienced such delight. Probably more so than when, I don't know. Two different feelings between that one and when they actually won the World Cup in Berlin. The final penalty went in. Just incredible. Yeah, to be able to say that I was there to witness those two events, just something else. Absolutely something else.
Yeah, I was at Burswood. I was Crown Casino back then.
You watched the
German. I was at
the semi-final. Yeah,
the semi-final, and I can just tell you, I get excited, but I got really excited that we flipped the table at where I was.
I watched.
I'm surprised now. Looking back now, you'll get kicked out for what we did. But the cheers will just jump. I was just so excited. Everything that would come next to me would just jump. It was just incredible. When
I watch back those games, highlights, whatever on YouTube or whatever, and I've got all the games. It gets me emotional thinking back about. Honestly, my tears well up in my eyes sometimes. Not every time, but sometimes when I think back. Mate, that was just, as a football fan, it was just the absolute pinnacle. And, grew up praying, wishing to see Italy win a World Cup. Never thought that it would actually happen. Just, especially, the World Cups before that, from 1990, which was the first World Cup that I experienced. What was I, 9 years old?
I really remember properly, yeah.
Lost on penalties, 3 World Cups in a row. On penalty shootout. And it was just like, we were destined to never see Italy win a World Cup. grew up with the stories of the 82 team and everything. But, 82, we were 2 years old. I had pictures of I was 2 years old when Italy won the 1982 World Cup, and I had pictures of the 82 team in my bedroom.
Oh,
Yeah. It was just this amazing mythical team, that beat Argentina, beat Brazil, beat West Germany, and mythical players, Paolo Rossi and, Bruno Conti and all these amazing players. And then actually to be there to witness, I felt like I'm witnessing history, being there to see Italy win a World Cup. And obviously it would be amazing to see Australia one day win one too. But at the end of the day, growing up, in an Italian home with being passionate about, Italian football and these Italian players, to see players like Francesco Totti and Alessandro Del Piero, Cannavaro, actually win the World Cup. And at the same time, I feel it's a little bit bittersweet as well, because when I think of those players in the previous Italian teams that didn't get the opportunity to win a World Cup, Paolo Maldini, Roberto Baggio, these guys were greater players, right? Giannini, my absolute idol in life as a footballer. When I think of these players that didn't experience lifting that trophy, compared to the players that did, not that the players that did in 2006, not that they didn't deserve it, but obviously individually, player for player, Italia. So
Gilardino compared to Baggio, same thing. That's what.
You know what I mean? Like the Italia 90 and the USA 94 teams were greater teams than the 2006, but I suppose they just in 2006 were the ones who actually finished off the job. But
what do you think of the 2002 team, out of curiosity?
Probably the best squad of that World Cup.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Absolutely ripped off. And then also Spain in the following game that South Korea played were even more so ripped off than Italy. That was one day I think that someone's going to come out and say, that was planned by FIFA. And that's my true feeling on that.
Well, I don't think it'll be in our lifetime, man.
I don't know. But obviously that was a master plan to push for FIFA to push football in Asia. Either South Korea or Japan, who were hosting that World Cup, had to get far. And that was what they achieved. It was the ultimate rip-off in world football. Not just for Italy, also for Spain.
Yeah, Spain also got shafted there. I remember.
Big time.
I was actually so depressed that I actually remember I watched that game. I was at the Paddington Ale House, believe it or not, where I watched that game.
You see, I don't understand how you can leave your home to watch Italy play. For me, I can't be among other people. I can't be around know-nothings. You know what I mean? Yeah. I can't be around the casual fan.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
I've got to be with my family or on my own.
Yeah, no.
If I'm not actually there to witness it live,
I think I need a bit of entertainment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And celebration.
For me, it's too tense. It's too. Yeah. It means too much to me. Which to some people that might sound ridiculous, but that's me. The national team is something very special for me. Especially that I've witnessed, the ultimate triumph. For me, and I love Australian sport as well. Like to me, the Australian cricket team is something special too, and I think that's been lost in recent times as well. But you haven't watched the test on Amazon?
No, I got to watch it.
I finished watching it about midnight last night. I watched the final episode. I got to say, I love Justin Langer. Just absolutely love him.
He's a very impressive. Very, very. A lot of people. Not many people say a bad thing about him. I don't think anyone says a bad thing about him.
He's at the moment. I think he's the perfect man to manage the Australian cricket team, and I just think they've come back, in my estimation, as a team. Not just because of this series, because I enjoyed watching the Ashes series last year. And I think they've changed their attitude completely. But watching that the Test series it's bloody eye opening. These you see you really humanise these people. Even it doesn't dwell on the fact that our favourite player, what's his name, David Warner. It doesn't dwell on his failing in that Test series. Like it should, but it barely gets a mention. It's mainly about Steve Smith, and how amazing
he's a quality
and how
player.
How he came back from getting that knock on the head and that type of thing, which is brilliant. That's like you're just getting engrossed in that in those couple episodes, all of it really. And I would love if they continue the series. Like I reckon there's 8 episodes. I reckon they could have made 14. But I just hope that they continue doing it for the new series.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Interesting. It just comes down to how much if it's economically viable. I mean, you said it in one of my clients' story. I reckon it's really good as well. So I thought that was I'll put it on my to-watch list. Yeah. So if we go on lockdown a bit further, or we can.
Well, I think Amazon's giving 60-day free trials now without paying. So
yeah,
get into it.
Good old Amazon. I've got a lot of documentaries I've got to follow up on. So still, we'll get there.
Oh, mate, you might have more time on your hands at the moment.
Yeah.
Especially if we were talking about last week, we were expecting to get a full actual shutdown or lockdown or quarantine, whatever you want to call it.
Well, it hasn't happened yet.
I don't think it's not required. I think they know that. But then again, with the incubation period of this thing, there might be a blowout in cases. Who knows? I think maybe we might still be waiting to see that, and if that's the case, then maybe they'll reconsider. Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyway, on that note, yes. We've been going a bit over an hour, so it's time to wrap.
Yep. Till next time, Simon.
Till next time. All right. Good chat.
If I get if we if we still in lockdown, or maybe one day we can actually do it face to face.
Yeah. Well, look. I think after the period of self-isolation, we've already really been self-isolating for longer than the supposed incubation period of 14 days, right? I haven't really come into contact with anyone that I could get it from in 14 days, and I'm not sick. So I think it's safe that we could,
Well, we have to get one of our
do a face-to-face podcast, and
face-to-face, and introduce a special guest. I reckon one day, son.
Well, we might do that on Zoom. Anyway, let's have a think about that during the week. We might have a special guest during the week. Just before we go, follow us on Facebook. It's Chronicles on the Fly podcast on Facebook. I might get a Twitter account going as well, but and then we can just post the episodes on there. But we'll see. But yes, Facebook. Adios.
No worries. Ciao, ciao.